Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. For anyone who's sick of hearing about capacitive discharge ignition systems for all-terrain vehicles, you're going to be bored. Might as well shut this video down and go watch TV or something. Anyway, this is a portable ignition system I built several years ago, and I set it all up. You can see there's batteries in it. This is the GY6 CDI system, though it doesn't matter. They're all basically the same. I put this really cool bat switch on it so that you know when you turn it on. And an ignition coil. So I came up with this, and I got to tell you, I use it all the time. A friend of mine out in Pennsylvania picked up a Kodiak, a Yamaha Kodiak, I think, Big Bear, and it's got no spark. So he's been really good to me, real decent guy. So I decided to build him his own, and I'm going to take everyone along with me to do that. So no matter what you're up to, you got to start off with you know, your basic parts. And I've showed this to you guys before. Hopefully you can read across the top. So you just do a search, you buy this. So this is like your first $14 invested. I like to buy the one that has the spark plug, the coil, the whole shoot and match all in it. I mean, really, what you're going to use from this is the wire harness and the coil. But it never hurts to have a spare spark plug that fits in the 125cc down to 50cc. It never hurts to have a spare on and off switch, and it never hurts to have an AC style CDI unit. So anyway, you guys could see it. I'm sure you can find it. Look at my old videos and you'll have it. Next thing is the box. This was old stock from our friends at Radio Shack, believe it or not. And I bought it over the internet, but I also bought these, right? And the important thing is the size of the box. See, it's 7.87 by 4.72 by 2.95. So it's about 3 inches thick. It's about 5 inches wide, and it's about 7 inches long. And there were 5 of these in this deal, and I got them for 17 bucks. And you can read the title right there. And I'm sure you guys can find them. You don't have to buy 5 of them. Normally, like 1 or 2 would do. Next thing I bought was this switch, and you can read the description right here again. Now I like this switch because it lights up, right? The end of it lights up when you hook it up. And I consider that important because if it doesn't light up, you know the batteries really are dead. If it does light up, it doesn't guarantee they're good, but at least it's some kind of indication. And you can see they're about, you know, $8 each. So you just spent 14, and 8 is 22. And I think these guys are another $8. So 22 and 8, call it $10, but you know, I have a tendency to get deals. I don't know, $32 you have invested so far. And the last thing you need is this, right? And this, you got to read that right there. They're about $7. So you put all those numbers together, You're also going to need some wires, a wire nut, a couple of small little things. You're going to have about $40 invested in this. So there you are. I'm going to start showing you the details of how I put mine together, so just hang on while I set up. This is that bat switch, that light up switch that I mentioned. The way you hook it up, it's marked like right there. You can see a little positive. So this is where your 12 volts would go. Let me actually put it in the screen. So you see the 12 volts. This one here is the load. That's where I'm going to put the black and red wire from the CDI to. And this here is ground. Obviously for this light to light up, you need ground on one side. So simple enough to do. I just want to show you that before it's all in the box and hard to look at. Okay, so here we are. Not hard. Take the cover off the box. You got the box sitting right here, and you got a bunch of junk to jam into it. This particular coil is the one that I showed you in the diagram. You could also buy the same kit, and the coil looks like this. I'm showing them both to you because this particular coil, the one that looks like this, that has the eye bolt right there, this one is easier to build this box out of. This one happens to be easier if you're not going with the box and you want to mount it up on the quad itself. So exactly the same, and quite honestly, you could drill a hole in the box, mount it, you know, right on the side of it. Alright, so let's go with the one I prefer. So, this is the wire harness. How does it work? You plug the green wire to the green and the yellow and black to the black, right? Your coil is now hooked up. Second thing you do is I showed you that DC coil and or CDI, and you know it's DC because when you count the pins in there, there's only 4. It has exactly the same pin out as the AC one, except there's a no connect for the turn off internal to this. So you plug that in here. Okay. And just to be sure that I showed it to you, it's this guy here, and you can see it's $7. So once again, you want to use this one for the portable CDI box. The one you get with the kit, you want to just put it aside. So you've done all this. Now it's time to drill some holes. To set up the holes for this, you need 2. You need one for the spark plug wire to come out, and you need a mounting hole. I just kind of looked, you know, kind of eyeballed it, and I drilled the big hole for the spark plug wire first, and once I did that, kind of stuck it right in the hole. Right? Took a drill bit, a pencil, or anything else. You marked the spot, and now you know where to put the second hole. And seeing as that's already done, I'm just going to install this right away and immediately to keep this from swimming about in here. You put the screw through. This is a bolt that I'm using as a spacer. Right, and you put the nut. On the other side. All that hard? No, you guys got it down pat. Other than that, you're going to have to put the batteries in. I left the battery out because once I put that last battery in, if you short those together, you know, you start running the batteries down, and I'd rather not do that. Where did I put this? The switch, I just picked a good spot for it and drilled a hole. Right. Now I'm just going to show you that the switch goes in easily enough. I still need to kind of put some, I still need to set the wiring up a little bit. Put blade connectors on the wires, and then I'll show you exactly how to hook them up. So that's probably going to come off again. Let me just put it on loose. And lastly, this has to fit into the box. How did I set this up? I think that went there, and this one alongside of it like that. So everything now fits in the box, and it's just a matter of wiring things. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to put the connectors right on. I'm going to drill a hole for the these wires to come out. And the improvement I'm making between this box and the original box is I made these wires quite a bit longer. I find that frequently I have trouble because they're not quite long enough, so that'll help. So anyway, I'm going to attach the spade connectors onto these wires, and I'll show you where to plug everything in, and we'll go on from there. Okay, the box is all put together and wired, and I even put a pulse generator on it just to show you guys how everything works. What I did is, this is the wire harness, and you can see all the wires are properly hooked to the CDI, because that's why I like the wire harness. I don't have to do everything myself, and the wires are all color coded. So the first wire that I hooked up here, see the blue and white from the wire harness? That's for the pulse generator, and I hooked it into the red wire that's going out the harness off to the pulse generator. Boy, there's a surprise. Next, what I did is I hooked up these ground wires, and it's really convenient. There are two ground wires that I have coming out of the box here on the alligator clips. One of them I put right on the spark plug, which would go to your engine block, right? Right to the head of the engine block. Make sure you get a good connection to metal. So I put that right on the spark plug, and the second ground wire I put to the other side of the pulse generator. So that's all done. And when you go into the inside of the box to wire it up, obviously the ground wires go together. They go to the green wire on the harness, and the last wire is ground for the 12-volt battery pack. I didn't talk about this battery pack too much, but you could buy, this is AA batteries. It takes 8 cells, which gives you your 12 volts. You could also buy a NiCad battery pack and charge it up yourself, or you can run a pair of leads, make them different than this, that go out to the battery on your all-terrain vehicle. I like putting it right internal to the box because it gets rid of what I call a variable, or everybody should call a variable. Because let's say I hook it up to the battery on my quad, and when I go to start my quad, the battery voltage dips down lower than I anticipate. Well, if your battery voltage dips down too low, your CDI will not fire. So once again, I know I got 12 volts to the CDI. Every once in a while, you know, I could just reach in with the meter and test it. Easy enough to do. So that's why I like putting the 12 volts on board. This, if you search eBay, is known as an 8 AA cell battery holder, or just go battery holder 12 volts, or 8 cell battery holder, or AA battery holder. I mean, any of those searches, you'll get it, and you'll just have to look around until you find that it holds 8 batteries, which gives you your 12 volts. So I already did a bunch of talking about ground. Luckily, my wire harness has an extra wire from ground, right, that I was able to put on the switch. Remember, I mentioned on the switch you needed ground. The other side of the positive side of the switch I just put to the battery thing, right? You see the little plus down there. And then the load of the switch is this CDI, right? When you turn this on, that's what you want to fire up. And that's the black and red wire. That's how hard it is to hook up, right? We already hooked up the spark coil, and we talked about that's the black with the yellow, and one of the ground wires go to the spark coil. So all that's done, right? So when I turn this on, oh, I get my light, which means I think I have my 12 volts. I have this clamped down. This is the magnet side. So hopefully you guys are seeing that. Let me close in a little closer. Be easier to see if it was on a black background. Yeah, let me put that on the other side of it. Make it easier. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I think you guys can hear it crackling. So you guys could see that it works. So now it's just a matter of stuffing everything into the box so that it's in halfway organized shape. This particular Radio Shack box came with two covers, the black plastic and the metal. Metal, I don't really recommend it. I think the black plastic is better, so that's what I'm going to go with. The problem with the metal one, you know, if you have a wire nut jump off, or that terminal jump off, or something rub around in there, next thing you know, your batteries could go bad or cause some kind of trouble. So I recommend the plastic one. And when you're buying the box, I recommend the plastic one. Should you go with the metal one, you could just put tape, like Gorilla tape on this side, just to insulate it. Just a suggestion. I mean, whatever you guys want to go with, go with. So this is the end of the build video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I probably get the most questions about this. So this was a step-by-step, where do I get the parts and everything else video, right? I mean, alligator clips, I mean, you can make them yourself. You could go to Harbor Freight and buy the ends and then put your own wire on them. So that shouldn't be a problem. Drilling holes, I tend to drill pilot holes first, and then I use this step drill to get the exact size that I'm after. These connectors, these are the insulated blade connectors. Let's use the word blade because it'll keep us all out of trouble. They don't have to be insulated. It's just when they're insulated, I mean, it makes a little easier job. When you do put them on the switch, if they don't want to stay on, you could kind of, you know, squeeze them a little bit so that they do stay on, because you really don't want them fishing about. This box and setup, it really is fairly fragile. So should you be riding your quad around with it, I would make sure you know, tape it on there fairly well. Find some nice flat spot, some good area, and really attach it well. I really recommend, quite honestly, not using this for riding, because you know you're going to find yourself in trouble. You could probably ride it far enough and rough enough to get a good distance from home before something breaks off, you pull a wire out or something, and then it's a long walk home. So try not to do that. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching and commenting and subscribing. If there are questions, please ask. I have to admit, I'm having a tough time keeping up with the questions. Honestly, I haven't been feeling well, and I'm pushing my schedule a little bit. So I'm really having a tough time keeping up, especially when I'm not feeling well. So you probably hear it in my voice. But right, we'll all persevere. I want to thank everybody for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.